So this all started because I was messing around with Google Notebook, the deep research, and honestly, I was kind of just getting bored of the kinds of sources that it was finding for me. So when I was experimenting with Gemini Notebook or Google Notebook, whatever you want to call it, I decided to try something different, but also something that is very, very familiar to how I normally work. I started treating the deep research more like I would do a normal chat conversation through like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever it ends up being. Now, I'm not talking about chatting with Gemini Notebook or Notebook LM after you've added your sources, right? I'm talking about this is like when you are about to add your sources. If you're going to do deep research and kind of go over that and use the deep research feature that goes out and finds those sources for you. So what I did was instead of kind of just typing in a basic prompt, I changed the type of information I wanted it to go out and search for and hunt for more or less. And that really changed everything completely. I started getting sources from completely different angles. And I ended up coming up with quite a few of these actual ways of doing this, but these 5 are actually my favorites. And you can use them with pretty much anything that you want to learn. Now for this video, I'm going to use one really simple example. Basically, I'm going to be using preventing creator burnout. So I think this is kind of important just to go over real quick. So this is really how Notebook LM's deep research works, right? So just real quick. So at first, when you put in information, it's going to read your prompt and it generates 3 to 6 subqueries to map out a research plan. Then runs those queries, follows citations and browses web pages, and then it filters out pages that don't match the constraints of the original prompt. So when you give it a normal prompt, the agent's internal search plan generates a subquery like creator burnout causes, how to prevent burnout for YouTubers, and tips for work-life balance. Then the sources that it actually imports are top-ranking lifestyle blogs, generic productivity articles, listicles, things like that. However, when you use the lenses or the prompts that we're going to be using here, right, it's going to go out and generate subqueries like creator burnout case studies, neurological fatigue, high volume publishing, why burnout advice fails, and post-mortem creator exhaustion. It searches across completely different terminology to find things like sports science journals, aviation safety manuals, and medical shift work studies. Sources that don't really contain the phrase creator burnout, but those people, that type of person, might experience that kind of stuff as well. I also want to let you know that you don't have to worry about trying to remember the prompts that we're basically using here. I'm going to put all that stuff in the Notion document, which is ready to go. So the first prompt is what I call the breakdown and failure mode hunter. And this one essentially is asking, where does this fall apart? I'm not just asking, what should I do? I'm asking, what am I possibly missing? And as we just learned, that sends the research in a completely different direction. Now, this is the prompt here, right? Now, again, don't worry. This is all going to be in the Notion document. So this one is essentially asking, where does this fall apart? I'm not asking, what should I do? I'm asking, what am I possibly missing? And as we just learned, that sends the research in a completely different direction. So again, here's the prompt. Again, don't worry about trying to copy and paste it or memorize it. You're going to be getting it directly in the Notion document. So with that being said, let's move on to prompt number 2. Now, this one is called the Unwritten Rules and Pro Habits Hunter. This one basically asks, what do people who have been doing this for a long time know that beginners usually don't? Basically, the kind of knowledge that really never makes it into beginner articles and things like that. So again, here's the prompt. Again, you just have to replace topic with whatever it ends up being. In my case, it's going to be creator burnout, right? So with that, we're going to move on to prompt number 3. And as you can see here on the page, this is the actual Notion page that you're going to have at the bottom, so you can see how the prompts are right here. So this next prompt is really kind of one of my favorites. I call it the outside the box connections hunter. This is the one that we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. So instead of only researching the topic itself, I'm asking Notebook LM to find completely different fields dealing with the same underlying problem. I'm essentially asking it, how do completely different fields solve this same kind of problem? And that's what I like about this one. You're not just searching deeper inside the same box. You're asking Notebook LM or Gemini Notebook, whatever you want to go, to look outside the box, which is something that I love to do. So again, here is the prompt right here. Again, don't worry about it. All you have to do is replace the topic. So moving on to prompt number 4 is the step-by-step drills hunter. This one came from another problem I have with the research. See, a lot of research tells you what you should do, but never really shows you how you actually get better at doing it. So basically, I want this to turn the topic into something that I can actually practice and actually measure my progress, how much I've actually retained and learned. Because there's a big difference between I understand something and I can actually do this and have a way of knowing that I'm actually getting better. So again, here is the prompt. Again, all you have to do is replace topic. You can just copy and paste this directly, which moves us on to our last prompt, which is the big debates and fault lines hunter. This one basically tells NotebookLM, don't show me what everybody agrees about. Show me what the smart people are still arguing about. I want my deep research to show me the different sides, because if the experts are still disagreeing about something, well, then that probably means that there's something that's still pretty interesting that's hidden kind of within all that information. So here's the prompt here. Again, just copy and paste and replace the topic. Once you do that, that's really it. That's really the tricks. Instead of building your notebooks filled with sources that are all basically going to approach the subject from the same obvious directions, you're now building a notebook containing different kinds of knowledge about the same subject. And I think that's the part I kind of stumbled onto. The prompt that you give for deep research isn't just telling it what to actually look for, what to actually research. It's telling it how you personally want it investigated, how you personally want it to be looked at and researched. And once I started thinking about it that way, well, then Gemini Notebook, NotebookLM, it became a lot more useful to me, especially with some of the cool things and the cool ways that you can actually progress and do some cool things within NotebookLM. And the final piece of advice that I want to give you is that I would tell you that if you're going to try this, pick one topic and try all 5 of these in separate notebooks. That way you're able to see the difference that you're actually going to get when you're actually doing this, right? So I hope these prompts help you. Again, the Notion doc is linked in the description below. You'll be able to grab that. You'll be able to use these prompts and play around with them if you want. You can add to them. You can move things around, whatever it is that you want to do. But then when you're having conversations or when you're creating the audio overviews or whatever it might be, you're going to find that you're going to get really, really cool information that really helps you kind of develop those second brains that a lot of people are looking for, and also be able to learn things at a much better rate and potential than you normally do. So with that, I hope this was useful. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this. And other than that, this is Craig, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.